Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be the much awaited planer board light video, and I think this is going to be a great option for all you guys, especially who fish real early in the morning, late at night, maybe even through the night, to try to keep those planer boards in line with each other, not crossed obviously, and running nice and true for you. So stick around. We're going to go over these real quick, share a little bit about them, how we got there, and I think you're really going to like what we have for you today. You ever had one of those ideas that you thought was the greatest thing since sliced bread, only to do some research and investigation on it, only to find that somebody else beat you to it? Well, that's the most recent case or scenario for me, these planer board lights. After tangling some planer boards early in the morning, I set out to find a better way to be able to see your planer boards in the early morning, late evening hours, instead of having to use a headlamp or a flashlight, something like that, or even the deck lights on your boat to try to see those planer boards. Looked at all kinds of different options and found that these are by far the best option out there. Some of you might remember from years ago sticking the glow sticks on your planer board lights, and you'd have to buy a new pack of planer board lights every trip out. Usually came in a couple per pack. Might cost you anywhere from $5 to $7 for a pair of them. And you have to replace them every trip out. The great thing about these lights is that they're reusable. They stick to just about anything. They have a number of different modes here. They are very slim. They provide almost no weight whatsoever to the planer board. And they're claiming that these will last a couple hundred hours. Depending on your use, which mode you use them on. Okay, you can use it in a number of different modes. They run off an LED. This is a sealed package. There is a battery encapsulated in that package. It is not replaceable, so after a couple hundred hours, instead of just a matter of 4 to 8 hours, you do have to replace this whole unit. Just peels off, stick the new one on, and you're back in business. When the planer board's going through the water, that's actually the edge that's facing you, even when it's off to the side of the boat. So that's exactly where I put that light was on that leading edge. Okay, and obviously if you got like a really heavy copper, 450, 500, that trailing edge might be submerged in the water a little bit. Putting that light back here or even here might not allow you to see that. Another option might be to put that light here on the top edge. However, you don't have as much of a contact surface there for the glue to adhere to on the back of these lights. So some of the great things about these lights is you can use them on these inline boards. There's a lot of different varieties of inline boards out there, and they are compatible with nearly all of them. In fact, I don't know one that they're not compatible with, but I don't want to make that blanket statement that they're just going to fit anything and everything. This is a real quick and easy way to see exactly where one board is in relation to the other, even in low light conditions. Not just in the morning during low light or in the evening in low light, but even on real foggy days where you can't see the bow from the back of the boat, you can generally see that little flashing light for a good distance away. So that might help in those situations as well. Personally, I've been able to see this flashing light well over 100 yards in total darkness. In fact, I just haven't set boards out farther than that. So I have no doubt that if I put this out in my yard somewhere on a tree and walked even further than 100 yards away from it, or put it on a signpost and walk down the road more than 100 yards, I would have no doubt that I could see this a lot farther than that. So there's some other options that you can utilize these in, or different capacities, because they're so versatile. They'll stick to just about anything. You have a tattle flag system set up on your planer boards. You might be able to put that on the flag, that's the side of the flag that's going to face the boat. So now you've got a low light indicator for when that line takes a rip. The possibilities are almost endless as far as what you can use these for. One of the things that they've been used for is on helmets, whether it's motorcycle or bicycle helmets, marking your way to your tree stand, or your favorite hunting spot. People have reported sticking them to the bark of trees and having them stick just fine. Now, if you've ever tried to stick something in the bark of a tree, you know that probably doesn't work very well. So I wouldn't expect them to stick indefinitely on the bark of a tree. Okay, but people are using them in that capacity. So instead of some reflective tacks or something on the trail out to your stand, they're using these instead. Really, the possibilities are just about endless, only limited by your own imagination. So one other thing that, especially if you have a little bit of experience with fishing planer boards, inline planer boards, you know that if you watch that planer board, you'll see that planer board drifting back when it gets bit, long before that drag starts clicking. Okay, especially in low light conditions, you're not necessarily going to see that planer board out there unless you have a light on it. So with a light on there, you can see that planer board starting to drift back long before that drag ever starts clicking. Okay, so we are now 100 yards away from the light attached to a planer board. And you can see very clearly, even though we've got a little bit of ambient light, it's just about 5:30. We got just a little bit of light in the sky. Sun's just barely starting to poke up. But you can see down the way there. I'm going to try and zoom in here. This is very bright, very obvious. This is set on this fastest strobe setting. It's kind of hard to pick this up real clearly. But that's 100 yards, and you can very obviously see that. Just for reference, I'm going to slide up to 50 yards, and it does appear to be a little more clear. Okay, there is 50 yards. You can see this is still having kind of a hard time picking up the strobing light. But there's several modes here. Okay, obviously we have off. We have a fast strobe. We have a slow strobe. And then a constant on. Obviously this is daylight. The intensity of the light isn't all that impressive. Consider that these are going to be used primarily in the dark, or darker lighting conditions anyway, when there is no other light sources. So the price on these is going to vary a little bit depending on availability from my supplier. Right now they're running about $5 each. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thanks for sticking it out with me here. Give me a shout, tangledtackle@gmail.com, and we'll work out the details as far as how many you want, the shipping and everything. I have no doubt that you're going to enjoy these. These have made fishing planer boards in low light conditions so much easier. Stay safe out there, guys. Tight lines.